The year 2026 did not arrive with instructions. It did not promise success, happiness, or change. It simply arrived, quietly, like every other year before it. The calendar turned. The numbers changed, but nothing else moved on its own. This is where many people get confused. They believe a new year brings a new life. It doesn't. A new year brings a new opportunity to choose. The calendar cannot fix your habits. It cannot sharpen your discipline or clarify your goals. Time moves forward whether you do or not. What separates those who grow from those who repeat the same year is not luck, talent, or circumstances. It is choice. The choice to take responsibility. The choice to act when motivation fades. The choice to become better instead of staying comfortable. 2026 will treat everyone equally with time, but it will reward only those who decide to use that time with intention. Starting the year 2026 with a conscious decision rather than hope is the most important difference between change that lasts and change that fades. Hope is comforting because it asks very little of us. It allows us to believe that things will somehow improve on their own, that circumstances will shift, people will change, or opportunities will appear at the perfect moment. Hope feels positive, but by itself it is passive. A decision, on the other hand, is active. It demands responsibility. When you decide, you draw a clear line between where you have been and where you intend to go, and you accept that crossing that line is your job. Many people enter a new year emotionally inspired. They feel motivated on the first few days of January, excited by fresh calendars and clean pages. But emotion is temporary. When life returns to its normal pace, when problems reappear and discipline is required, hope alone begins to weaken. A decision does not depend on emotion. It stands even when motivation disappears. Deciding means you have already settled the internal debate. You are no longer asking yourself whether you should change. You have already chosen to change. A conscious decision also brings clarity. Hope is vague. People hope to be successful, healthier, happier, or more confident, but they cannot clearly explain what that looks like in daily life. A decision forces specificity. When you decide, you define what you will do, what you will stop doing, and what standards you will no longer accept. You begin to recognize that improvement is not accidental. It is the result of deliberate choices, made repeatedly over time. The start of 2026 offers a powerful psychological moment, because it gives permission to reset. But permission is not progress. Progress begins when you decide that this year will not be a continuation of last year's habits. A decision shifts your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is trying, and start seeing yourself as someone who is committed. This change in identity influences how you act when challenges arise. When difficulty shows up, hope asks, what if this doesn't work? A decision says, I will find a way. Another important aspect of deciding is accepting responsibility for outcomes. Hope quietly waits for external factors to improve. A decision turns your attention inward. It asks what skills you need to develop, what habits you need to strengthen, and what weaknesses you must confront. This can be uncomfortable, but it is empowering. The moment you decide that your future depends largely on your actions, you regain control over your life. Starting 2026 with a decision also protects you from excuses. Excuses thrive where commitment is weak. When there is no firm decision, it becomes easy to justify delay, blame circumstances, or wait for better conditions. A decision reduces negotiation with yourself. You no longer ask whether you feel like doing what needs to be done. You simply do it because that is who you have decided to be. A conscious decision does not guarantee immediate success, but it guarantees direction. You may make mistakes, face setbacks, or move slower than expected, but you will not be drifting. Drift is dangerous because it feels harmless. Days pass, weeks pass, and suddenly another year is gone. A decision anchors your time. It gives meaning to effort and purpose to struggle. When you begin 2026 by deciding rather than hoping, you treat the year with respect. You recognize that time is valuable, and that your life deserves intentional direction. You stop waiting for confidence to arrive and start building it through action. You stop wishing for change and start becoming the cause of it. This is how a year stops being just another year and becomes a turning point. That taking full responsibility for your direction is one of the most powerful mindset shifts you can make as you step into 2026. Responsibility does not mean blaming yourself for everything that has gone wrong. It means recognizing that your future is shaped more by your responses than by your circumstances. Many people move through life reacting instead of directing. They allow events, people, and situations to determine their path. When you accept responsibility, you move from being a passenger to becoming the driver of your life. Where it is easy to look at external factors and explain why progress feels difficult. The economy may be uncertain. Opportunities may seem limited, and other people may not always support your growth. These challenges are real, but they are not the final authority over your life. Responsibility begins when you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What can I do with what I have?" That shift in thinking changes everything, because it places your focus on action instead of complaint. But when you own your direction, you stop waiting for permission. You no longer depend on perfect conditions to move forward. You understand that clarity often comes after action, not before it. Many people delay progress because they want everything figured out first. Responsibility teaches you to move with what you know now, trusting that learning and improvement will follow. Progress favors those who act, adjust, and continue rather than those who wait. A responsibility also brings honesty. It forces you to evaluate your habits, decisions, and priorities without excuses. If your results are not what you want, responsibility asks you to look inward instead of outward. This can be uncomfortable, but it is also freeing. The moment you accept that your current situation is largely influenced by past choices, you also accept that new choices can create a new future. You are not stuck. You are simply standing at the result of previous decisions. As 2026 begins, taking responsibility means choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort. Comfort encourages avoidance, while responsibility encourages discipline. It asks you to do what is necessary, not what is easy. This may mean waking up earlier, managing your time better, learning new skills, or letting go of habits that no longer serve you. Responsibility does not promise ease, but it promises progress. Another important part of responsibility is how you handle failure. People who avoid responsibility often blame failure on bad luck or unfair circumstances. Those who accept responsibility treat failure as feedback. They ask what went wrong, what can be improved, and what lesson must be learned. This mindset turns mistakes into teachers, rather than stop signs. Over time, this approach builds resilience and confidence, because you trust your ability to adapt and improve. But taking responsibility for your direction also affects your self-respect. There is a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are doing your best with what you have. Even when results are slow, responsibility gives you peace, because you know you are moving intentionally. You are no longer drifting through days hoping something will change. You are actively shaping your life, one decision at a time. But when you begin 2026 with responsibility, you stop measuring yourself by comparison. You understand that your journey is personal, and that progress is about improvement, not perfection. You focus less on what others are doing, and more on what you need to do next. This focus strengthens your discipline, and sharpens your direction. Ultimately, taking full responsibility is not a burden, it is a privilege. It means your life is not controlled by chance, but influenced by choice. It means you have the power to redirect, restart, and rebuild whenever necessary. As you move through 2026, this mindset will keep you grounded, proactive, and steadily moving forward, regardless of obstacles. The committing to discipline over motivation is essential if you want 2026 to produce real results instead of temporary enthusiasm. Motivation is emotional and unpredictable. It rises when things feel exciting and disappears when effort becomes uncomfortable. Discipline, however, is steady. It does not depend on how you feel. It depends on what you have decided. People often wait to feel motivated before they act, but successful people act first and allow motivation to follow their actions. At the beginning of a new year, motivation is usually high. There is excitement about fresh starts and new possibilities. But as days pass and routines return, motivation fades. This is where many people stop. They confuse the loss of motivation with the loss of opportunity. Discipline prevents this confusion. It keeps you moving even when progress feels slow and recognition is absent. Discipline understands that growth is often boring before it becomes rewarding. The discipline is built through small, consistent actions. It is not about extreme effort for short periods, but about showing up every day, even in simple ways. Reading a few pages daily, practicing a skill for a short time, saving a small amount of money regularly, or maintaining a routine may not feel powerful in the moment. Over time, these actions compound. What looks insignificant today becomes impressive after months of consistency. Choosing discipline means accepting discomfort as part of growth. Motivation seeks comfort. Discipline accepts challenge. Discipline asks you to do the necessary work, even when it is inconvenient. It pushes you to honor commitments when no one is watching. This is where character is built. The private victories of discipline eventually create public success. Another important aspect of discipline is structure. Discipline thrives in organized environments. When you plan your day, set priorities, and create routines, you reduce the need for constant decision making. This makes it easier to stay consistent. Without structure, discipline must fight chaos. With structure, discipline flows naturally. Starting 2026 with clear routines increases your chances of staying committed throughout the year. With discipline also strengthens self-trust. Each time you do what you said you would do, you build confidence in yourself. This confidence is not based on positive thinking, but on evidence. You begin to believe in your ability to follow through. Over time, this belief changes how you approach challenges. You stop doubting yourself and start relying on your habits. When discipline becomes a priority, excuses lose their power. Life will always present reasons to delay, quit, or settle. Discipline teaches you to recognize excuses without obeying them. You may feel tired, distracted, or uncertain, but discipline reminds you that progress does not require perfect conditions. It requires commitment. The discipline also protects you from emotional decision making. Motivation often leads people to start strong and quit quickly. Discipline encourages patience. It helps you understand that meaningful results take time. This patience prevents frustration and burnout. You stop expecting instant rewards and start respecting the process. As 2026 unfolds, discipline will become your greatest advantage. While others wait for inspiration, you will already be in motion. While others rely on excitement, you will rely on consistency. Discipline may not feel exciting, but it is reliable. It carries you forward on days when motivation fails, and keeps you aligned with your goals, long after the excitement of a new year fades. Fixing your habits at the start of the year is one of the most practical and powerful ways to shape how 2026 will unfold. Habits are the invisible forces that guide daily behavior. They operate quietly, often without conscious thought, yet they determine the direction of your life. You may not always remember the choices you made today, but your habits will remember them for you. This is why habits, more than single decisions, create long-term results. Many people focus on big goals at the beginning of a new year, but they overlook the small behaviors that make those goals achievable. Habits are the bridge between intention and outcome. If your habits do not support your goals remain wishes. Starting 2026 by examining your habits means asking honest questions about how you spend your time, energy, and attention each day. What you do repeatedly is more important than what you plan occasionally. Habits form because the mind prefers efficiency. Once a behavior becomes familiar, the brain turns it into a routine to save effort. This works for you, or against you depending on the habit. Poor habits feel easy in the beginning, and slowly create difficulty later. Good habits feel difficult at first and gradually make life easier. Fixing your habits means choosing temporary discomfort for long-term benefit. The beginning of a new year is the ideal time to change habits because it provides a psychological reset. It creates distance from old patterns and gives you a sense of control. However, changing habits does not require dramatic actions. It requires consistency. Small changes done daily are more effective than major changes done occasionally. When you try to change everything at once, you overwhelm yourself and quit. When you focus on a few key habits, progress becomes manageable. Replacing bad habits is more effective than simply trying to stop them. Habits exist to serve a need, whether it is comfort, distraction, or relief from stress. If you remove a habit without replacing it, the mind will search for another escape. Fixing habits means understanding their purpose and choosing healthier alternatives. This approach leads to sustainable change instead of temporary improvement. Good habits also create momentum. Once you succeed in maintaining one positive habit, it becomes easier to add another. This builds confidence and strengthens discipline. Over time, your identity begins to change. You stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles with consistency and start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. Identity-based change lasts longer than goal-based change. Habits influence not only productivity but also attitude. Daily routines affect how you think and feel. A habit of learning expands your mindset. A habit of gratitude improves emotional balance. A habit of preparation reduces stress. When you fix your habits, you improve not just what you do, but who you become. As 2026 progresses, your habits will either support you or sabotage you. They will either move you closer to your goals or quietly pull you away from them. Fixing your habits early in the year gives you time to benefit from them. The earlier you plant the seed, the longer it has to grow. When you commit to improving your habits, you take control of your future at the most practical level. You stop relying on willpower and start relying on systems. You stop hoping for better outcomes and start creating them daily. This is how small actions, repeated consistently, turn an ordinary year into a year of meaningful progress. Setting clear and meaningful goals is essential if you want 2026 to have direction instead of confusion. Without goals, effort becomes scattered. People stay busy, but they are not productive. They work hard, yet they are unsure why they are working, or where their effort is leading. Goals give purpose to action. They turn daily tasks into steps towards something bigger and more meaningful. Many people misunderstand goal setting. They believe goals must be grand or perfect before they begin. As a result, they delay writing them down or avoid them entirely. Clear goals do not need to be dramatic, they need to be specific. Clarity creates focus. When you know exactly what you want to achieve, your mind starts filtering opportunities, information, and decisions in that direction. Unclear goals lead to hesitation, while clear goals create momentum. Writing goals down is a powerful act because it moves ideas from imagination to intention. A goal written on paper becomes harder to ignore. It becomes a reference point for decisions. When distractions appear, written goals remind you of your priorities. They help you say no to what does not matter, so you can say yes to what does. This is especially important in a world full of noise and constant demands on attention. Meaningful goals are connected to values. When a goal matters deeply, discipline becomes easier. You are more willing to endure discomfort because the outcome is important to you. Goals without meaning feel heavy and forced. Goals with meaning feel challenging but worthwhile. As you begin 2026, setting goals that reflect who you want to become, not just what you want to have, creates lasting motivation. Goals also help measure progress. Without goals, it is difficult to know whether you are improving or simply staying busy. Goals provide benchmarks. They allow you to evaluate what is working and what needs adjustment. This prevents frustration because you can see progress even when results are not yet visible. Progress, not perfection, keeps people moving forward. Another important aspect of goal setting is balance. Goals should challenge you without overwhelming you. When goals are unrealistic, they lead to discouragement. When goals are too easy, they fail to inspire growth. Clear goals stretch your abilities while remaining achievable through consistent effort. This balance builds confidence and keeps you engaged throughout the year. Goals also bring structure to time. Time passes quickly when it is not guided by intention. Goals give shape to days, weeks, and months. They help you plan and prioritize. When you wake up knowing what matters most, your energy is used more effectively. This reduces stress and increases satisfaction because your actions align with your purpose. As 2026 unfolds, your goals act as a compass. They do not remove obstacles, but they help you navigate them. When setbacks occur, goals remind you why you started. They help you stay patient and persistent. Without goals, setbacks feel like dead ends. With goals, they become temporary detours. Setting clear and meaningful goals at the beginning of the year transforms how you experience time, effort, and growth. It turns 2026 into a focused journey rather than a random series of events. When your goals are clear and connected to purpose, each step forward, no matter how small, becomes significant. Protecting your attitude and committing to personal growth is one of the most important decisions you can make as you move into 2026. Your attitude acts as a filter through which you experience everything in life. Two people can face the same situation and walk away with completely different outcomes. Not because the situation was different, but because their attitudes were different. Attitude does not change reality, but it changes how you respond to reality, and response determines results. Many people allow their attitude to be controlled by external conditions. When things go well, they feel positive. When challenges appear, they become discouraged. This creates emotional instability and inconsistency. Protecting your attitude means deciding in advance how you will respond to difficulty. It means choosing strength, patience, and perspective even when circumstances are not ideal. This choice gives you emotional control and inner stability. A strong attitude is closely connected to personal growth. When you are committed to growth, challenges stop feeling like threats and start feeling like lessons. You no longer ask why something is happening to you. You ask what it is teaching you. This mindset reduces frustration and increases resilience. Growth-focused individuals understand that problems are not interruptions to progress, but part of the process. A personal growth requires intentional effort. Growth does not happen automatically with time. You can age without improving. Growth happens when you seek knowledge, develop skills, and refine character. Reading, learning, reflecting, and practicing new ways of thinking are investments in yourself. These investments may not produce immediate results, but they compound over time and shape your future opportunities. The protecting your attitude also means guarding what you allow into your mind. Constant exposure to negativity, comparison, and distraction weakens emotional strength. Growth-oriented people are selective about their influences. They understand that thoughts shape actions, and actions shape outcomes. By choosing positive and constructive input, you strengthen your mindset and maintain clarity. Another aspect of attitude is gratitude. Gratitude does not ignore problems, it balances them. When you practice gratitude, you remind yourself of what is working, not just what is lacking. This creates emotional resilience and prevents discouragement. Gratitude shifts focus from scarcity to possibility, making it easier to stay motivated and hopeful. A personal growth also improves how you interact with others. As you grow, you develop better communication, empathy, and patience. This improves relationships and reduces conflict. Growth makes you more adaptable and open-minded. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond thoughtfully. This maturity enhances leadership and influence in every area of life. As 2026 progresses, protecting your attitude will help you navigate uncertainty. Life rarely follows a straight path. There will be delays, disappointments, and unexpected challenges. A strong attitude helps you stay grounded during these moments. It keeps you focused on solutions rather than problems, and encourages perseverance instead of quitting. Committing to personal growth ensures that even difficult experiences contribute to your development. You may not always control what happens, but you can control how you grow from it. When you protect your attitude and invest in yourself, you turn time into an ally rather than an enemy. This approach allows you to move through 2026 with confidence, resilience, and a steady sense of progress, regardless of external circumstances. As 2026 moves forward, remember this: the year will not shape you. You will shape the year. Choose discipline over comfort, growth over excuses, and intention over drift. If you commit to becoming better each day, 2026 will not be remembered as ordinary, but as transformational.